right, so today we're going to look at episode 2 of the Loki series. I believe it was called The Variant. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we'll just kind of go around. What did you think of it, Sarah? Did you like it?
I liked it. So this one I liked. They talked about a lot of the points that we had talked about in our last podcast about, like Chip said, that why they could just, time's on their side. They could just go back to before the masked figure showed up and change all that. And they explained this time that they couldn't because popping into the variant timeline makes the timeline fragile.
I didn't say they could hop in before.
Okay.
I said they could go after and still clean it up.
Okay, sorry.
Which is what they were doing. So
Mhm.
every time like they get murdered, they go, "Oh crap, they never came back. What happened?" They go like 15 minutes after and find their dead bodies.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what you said was correct. It's just not what I said. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you again. Okay, but yeah, they explained that. They explained a whole bunch of different things that I absolutely liked. They let Loki be Loki, and what I really liked was how the female, we're assuming that's a female Loki, because she really didn't like being called Loki when she was inhabiting the other bodies. And she had slightly different powers. But one thing that they didn't talk about when they were showing all the different types of Lokis that there were in the different worlds, the different variant Lokis that they were killing, they were all, if I don't know if I'm the only one who knows that, they were all male.
Yeah.
They were all male. They all generally looked like him in some way. And the only identifying thing on her that you could even say is a Loki-esque was her crown with horns. So she goes, "Don't call me that.
Yeah.
Call me something else." So I don't know if she's even a Loki. I mean, that made me question that. And yeah, and it ends with them getting ready to go to battle, which will be interesting.
And what someone made reference to, and in the comics, there is a Asgardian villain named Enchantress,
Right.
who is a blonde woman who can do that thing where, I think it was her voice in the comic that when she talked, she would take control of you. She would enchant you. But she had blonde hair too, and she wore green. So it, like in this variant, maybe the Enchantress and Loki are like merged,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be why she didn't want to be called Loki. So that's a possibility.
Well,
some of the things mentioned.
When they did the horn things, I was like, okay, that's female Loki. And I happen to be right now comic book rereading Dark why can't I think of it? I just restarted. It's the one where Osborn is the
Dark Reign or the Siege?
Dark Reign, not Dark Siege. And she's actually at female Loki's actually at the beginning.
Yeah.
When he meets with all of the powers to sort of cut a deal with, hey.
The Cabal.
Yeah. And
Dark Reign, the Cabal. That's a great comic. That's a great one-off issue. That is fantastic.
Namor is in it, or how you say it.
Namor.
Anyway, but so when they did that,
Namor and the Submariner.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that scene was pretty cool, and I liked how she waves to him. I thought that was a lot of times for me. A lot of my favorite parts are the reveals or the certain, and I know they were trying to build that up, but everything we'd already seen. If you'd seen anything, you'd seen the two of them. I mean, it was like they kept calling him a he, and all that, and it was just it. So they were trying to set it up as a big reveal, but it was kind of like, well, we already pretty much had figured that out if you'd looked at anything. But I always do like the reveals, and I thought that one was cool. I thought that was one of the better parts of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier when he came out in the Captain America costume. I thought that was definitely my favorite part of that whole series. So a lot of them. My favorite of the one of my favorite scenes in all of the MCU is when they're at the station back in Infinity Wars. I think it's Infinity Wars. where Captain America is the train pulls past because Wanda and Vision are getting attacked.
Yeah.
And they reveal him.
His Shadow.
Yeah, and he's in the nomad beard and all that. I was like, that's still hands down one of my favorite. So I kind of like those reveals, and I thought the reveal in this one was pretty good.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Like all the superhero landings where they're like, raw. And okay, so if you like those superhero landings, Google Squirrels Landing.
Yeah, squirrels.
Because that's how squirrels land. Squirrels land
Awesome.
like they're a freaking superhero. They're like, and they make a face. They're very serious.
I don't like squirrels because they eat my and I can't have a garden because they
Oh really?
eat everything. Yes, they eat jalapenos.
Oh,
And squirrels.
And tree rats. So
I wouldn't have thought
yeah,
that.
what Chip, anything else that pops to your mind that you really liked of the
I really loved the subtle touch of when he was reading about the destruction of Ragnarok or the destruction of Asgard. They had like this really awesome, like somber violin playing, and then they closed up. You never saw the tear fall, but you saw the tear form in his eye. And I mean, I was like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty subtle. And I thought that was nice. He has a heart. He cared. He felt bad. And it's weird, and it's also good because I was like, oh yeah, this Loki was not there. He did not see
right
get destroyed. So
Yeah.
I just hope this series ends with Loki and Mobius on a jet ski. That's all I'm saying.
I
That's how I
imagine it's
want
going
it
to
to end.
happen. I still think he'll turn. I still think Mobius will turn to the light because I think that she thinks the character we'll call our female Loki. I think I don't know. I think she's got a wider view of what's happening, at least what the Time Variance Authority is doing. But something else I really liked is there's an actress in there, the one that gets captured by female Loki.
Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah. And she is Sasha Lane, and she was actually in this show called Utopia that's on Prime. If you haven't seen it, it's a good show.
It's amazing. And her character's name is Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah.
Now, have you gone, no, just off subject real quick, have you gone and watched the British version of Utopia? Because what we're watching is based on the British version, which is supposed to be amazing, and that's now on Amazon Prime too, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. And the other thing is, if anybody, listeners, decide to go watch Utopia, it was canceled. There will not be a second season, so you can't blame us for that. So, but it is absolutely amazing. John Cusack as the bad guy is by far the best part of it.
It's really good. But what she does is, like, when they finally find her, she's sitting there shaking and rocking back and forth going, it is real. Or like she's saying, it is real, right? She goes, it is real. It is real. It is real. And so on another point, when Mobius was in the judge's office, what's her name? I can't remember what her name is.
It's really long. Yeah.
But he was in her office. Yeah. And she's got all those rings there. And she's like, they're all from you.
Yeah.
So, and there's all these different buildings, and they never leave the building, but everybody is like numbered. All the people are numbers. Okay. So there's something numbers. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, if this is a world where this is what they do, this is what's created, he never sees any of the other agents that are at his level. What if they're all just copies, or they're all variants taken out? And what she did to Sasha Lane's character was open her up and made her remember what she was copied from.
Well, I've heard another premise that they're not copies, that what they are is their variants, that they wipe them and then like kind of reprogram them. Because if everybody was a clone, it wouldn't work in the long run, and that's too many clones and whatever. So one of the hypotheses is that the variants are that some of the workers, if not most of them, are variants that have had their minds wiped and other information is given. Yes, and and her name is Ravonna. Hold on, I just looked it up. Ravonna Renslayer is her name in the show.
Okay.
Ravonna Renslayer. So we'll have to remember that, so we don't go, that girl, what's her name? Because me and Scotty are famous for that. Listen to our old podcast.
I'm gonna end up calling her like Ravi or something so I can remember it.
Renslayer.
Renslayer.
In the comic book, she's Kang's girlfriend and ran Chronopolis for him.
Okay.
What do you think? Is there any more to her? Do you think there's any more to the backstory to her and Mobius?
No, well, I think that she was probably. I think she's Kang's girlfriend still. Like, I think that Kang's going to come up in this at some point.
I want to see her kick butt when she walked over. She grabbed that sword and she was heading out with it. All the things she could have grabbed, she grabs the sword. I want to see what she does with it. I'm pumped for the next show because I feel like it's going to be some good battle sequences.
Well, I feel like I like the fact that this episode seemed to get to the point. Like, we could have easily had another entire episode before we saw the Enchantress, which is what I'm going to call her from now on. I'm glad that we went ahead and like we're moving. So it's moving because, I mean, honestly, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was 6 episodes, and there were 3 complete throwaway episodes in there. And I'm hoping that we don't get that in this. I hope we have good, episodes that move the story along into every one. So
what I'm worried about is because there's only 6 episodes and so much that could happen, or so much to pack in. I'm worried that it'll feel a little rushed, but I do like how they answered a lot of questions. Some of the ways they answered them was very, I'm just going to say why, like, I know this is a pending question, but I'm just going to go, this is why. I'm just going to explain it real quick.
Right.
And in dialogue to each other. And what I'm wondering, also a question that I had was, Mobius was like, did you read all the reports for all the Lokis, all the different variant Lokis? And he didn't. So I'm wondering what was in there. Because like, was there something that he was trying to share with him but couldn't share directly with him, or about what was going on? Because why are there so many different Lokis? Why are there so many different Lokis that they've charted, they've kept, and why are they exterminating? Like, why is it such a focus for the TVA? And I know they slightly explained it. They said, he's been a trouble, whatever timeline he's in, he's trouble. But like, why particularly him, and why is Loki so okay with that? Like, it didn't like ring to him like, oh, they're murdering all the other me's from all these other
Loki's could be like Scarlet Witches, where their nexus there's one and all. There's always a Loki. There's always a Scarlet Witch. There's not always a Captain America, but that she's a constant. Maybe the Lokis are a constant.
Well, even if they're a constant, they're still eradicating them. They're eradicating them.
Well, he's the god of mischief, so he's probably messing with the timeline. So, but I mean, I wanted to say that, like, we kind of disagreed on, you were thinking that the TVA was just evil in the last one. I was like, no, this and that. But after watching this episode, I'm thinking there's something wrong with the TVA, and it will probably go down by the end of this series.
You think the timekeepers are actually real, or are they actually like a myth that's just being? Because
she's the only one, Renslayer's the only one that talks to him.
And Loki said, made a point of, okay, when do I get my interview? When do I get to see?
When do I get to talk to him?
Yeah.
I think that they might not be real. It might just be Kang who came up with it, and he's controlling the whole thing. But
like it's the front, basically.
Yeah, and I think she's frozen still.
So, well, yeah, I thought overall, to your point, the pace was a little better. It was the first one, because it was such a setup. I mean, I enjoyed it, but this one started to at least have something. That was the thing about the Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There were some cool action parts in that, I thought, at least. But it did have a lot. It did have some lulls in there.
I think there was some political points they were trying to make in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which they don't need to make in this.
Right.
And that's the stuff that we found slow or whatever. We were like, okay.
Well, and we don't know what they had to reshift with reshots because of
the Black Widow being delayed. messed up both of those, both shows, and she's back, but we can't hear her.
Sorry.
There you
No,
go.
my internet jumped for some reason. All the power went off and now it's back
Ooh.
on. So,
Crazy.
yeah.
All right, we can hear you too, obviously.
It's
All right.
infrastructure. That damn
Yeah.
infrastructure, it's all falling apart.
Oh, inner city Atlanta. What are you gonna do?
Oh, I mean, I drove down to it. I was driving in Atlanta this weekend, and the freaking roads are unbelievable. I mean, like potholes the size of your car.
The traffic
Yeah.
back to being I was south of the city today, and it took me forever to get back. I was north of the city earlier this week. Yeah, traffic's bad.
I'm back in the office this week, and I've been able to do the interstate to and from work with minimal traffic, but that's because I have somewhat of a reverse commute.
And you're driving it in the off times too. aren't you?
Yeah, early and late. So yeah, but yeah.
See,
back to
I
the
didn't really have a power outage. I just didn't like that you disagreed with me, so I just jumped. No, I'm just kidding.
I was actually agreeing with you.
Oh, I didn't even hear that part.
Oh, okay. No, what I was saying
I
was-
heard zero of that.
no, what I was saying was is last time, you were like the TVA's evil and all of that,
Yeah.
and I was like, no, it's and then after this episode, I'm like, okay, there's something going on at the TVA. So the whole thing, yeah, the TVA will probably be brought down by the end of this.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm thinking.
Something's definitely up with the TVA. That's definite. Oh,
Yeah, I like the whole free will conversation like Loki was having, and he was like, so I guess we're the only ones with free will. He goes, well, not really, but I guess Mobius was like trying to dance around it. He's like, well, I guess we're they're the only ones that can really make decisions that are outside of what's meant to be. And so that was very cool.
well, that just seems, and that's the thing that makes you question the whole TVA. Is like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. And and we know there's a multiverse. So what are they actually controlling? Because they're not stopping the multiverse from existing. They're just controlling that one little line.
Well, they're just making sure the flow of time goes the way they want it to.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and
So-
the ancient one basically said that the stones were controlling the flow of time.
Right. Well, that's what
And now they're
the
saying
removal of the stones causes the branches.
no.
So
But what I mean was, I thought she was talking about the power that was holding the timeline together was the stones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then so now, and that's why they showed them in the drawer and all that stuff.
Yeah. Because they're like but like I said, like back in those Fantastic Four comics, the Infinity Stones are only from your
Timeline.
universe.
Yeah.
Only have power in your universe. You take them outside of your universe, and they have no power.
But
You
see,
can't
my
keep it-
question with that is if only what's in your universe, you can only have that magic in that universe. Is that what I'm supposed to gather from that? Because if that's true, then why does the Lokis and why do they have their power as long as they're outside
I don't think it's magic so much. I think it's the
Mhm.
power of the Infinity Stones, because they're like kind of a special thing. They were formed at the creation of of that universe, and they are distilled ingots of, I can't remember. It was something, whatever the collector said in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
He kind of laid it out pretty good. So,
Yeah. Oh, I will say that they are looking more lizardy this time around. So when they were showing the big statues
yeah.
of the three lizard men, they had little scales, but they still look like cats with scales on them.
And what's funny is the middle. I was watching. Watch Mojo and whatever the other shows are. I'll have to write them down so I can get credit. But that one of them made the point. They're like, notice that Ravonna Renslayer, who is Kang's girlfriend, and the middle one looks the most like Kang.
Right.
Like she sets like there's a scene where she sat, and that's the one right behind her in her office. That's the one she sits behind in the scene. They focused on that face and then down to her. So if they're but see, the thing is, they also put the guy who played Quicksilver in X-Men in Wanda. So they're just screwing with you at some point. Like they could be doing all this and laughing about it, going, look, they're all putting this together like that's King the Conqueror because we're doing all this stuff and we're not even going to do that.
I think they do that. They do that in all the series because they want you focused. They want you looking for those little things. But sometimes they do hide little things in there.
Oh yeah.
That are real or reference something that they're going to do later, which would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that stuff. That's very exciting.
Well,
they do a good job of putting those type of things in there, and then they put things in there that help with the speculation of what's to come, kind of things.
Yeah.
The Easter eggs. I want to know who started calling those Easter eggs and what was the first Easter egg.
I don't know. If I remember right, that was originally from DVDs, and there was I can't remember which one it was or what it was, but there was DVDs that had these little where my finger is. So like a little thing would come up, and you could click on that or go to it. It was like interactive. It was the first of that, and then that would have like a little blurb, and it would say, this scene, blah, blah, blah. And so I think that's where it comes from. And I can't remember what those were first on, but they were, if I remember what it was.
According to Google, the use of the term Easter egg to describe secret features in video games originates from the 1980s video game adventure.
Yeah, the adventure video game. That's in Ready Player One. The thing does.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And that's the first.
That was a good movie too. I like that one.
Of course.
Yeah, but I don't see.
I mean, the whole Ready Player One wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for Easter eggs, because that's all it was one giant nostalgia touchstone / Easter egg.
That's awesome.
So, where do you guys think this is heading? What do you think the next episode has?
That's what I'm most excited about, because I have no freaking clue. I have no idea where this is going to go. Yeah. But I know there's a scene with Loki and female Loki like sitting on a bench talking at like a destroyed city. So I'm sure there's going to be what would Alan call it, a slow moment or a downbeat, so that we can get some character development.
Well, and to your point, there's the in one of the promo pictures or some of the original trailers, there's destroyed New York. So if these time bombs or whatever are going off if they're going off in apocalypse, where they're going off, and what does that mean?
That is such a cool idea, though, like that they dropped into all these different times, and like they made the branches by destroying that little piece of the actual timeline.
Yeah.
And they were all over the place. So, I mean, in the way she acted and what I thought, it seemed like it could have been chaotic. Like, she doesn't know where they all went. She just set up like this random program to drop them, just in random spots.
Well, like if you think of that in a military strategic term, she's destabilizing their main headquarters by causing all of them to go out. So if she wanted to directly infiltrate, their main headquarters for some reason, to get something, to burn it all to the ground, maybe that's what they're doing in the next episode. They'll go there and they'll burn it all to the ground, and maybe that's the city they're sitting in front of. I don't know. But if you wanted to get all the forces out, that's the way to do it.
Well, I know they said that, can't remember if it's 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. There's 2 episodes where things really, there's a major turn. And I think Kevin Feige said that Loki's going to have some of the, it's going to definitely affect the MCU on a much bigger level than either of the other 2 have.
I'm interested to see what's going to happen, because it could go so many different ways. you know.
What's the next one that comes up after Loki? Is
What
that-
if?
What if that's cartoon, right?
Yeah, that's the animated.
Animated.
No, it's animated, not a cartoon.
I am. Yeah, exactly. And graphic novels.
There you go.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one's gonna be cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be interesting because a couple of them that looks like they're going to pull from like the old What If comics, and then a couple of them we're going to get to see Marvel Zombies in at least one of them. So,
Oh, that'll be exciting.
you've been all about. Well, it was cool.
no,
'cause
we make fun. I've always made fun of Marvel Zombies and Marvel Apes, so I'm sure they'll throw them in at some point.
Why have you made fun of them?
Because I'm sick of zombies. And they've just beat
I always
zombies
thought
to
the Marvel
death.
zombie thing was a little forced.
And I thought the Marvel Apes thing was just dumb.
Yeah.
But Marvel
Well,
doesn't call me and ask me anymore what they should put out. So hey,
The Marvel zombies.
Well, they might now.
they might now. You're right. They might.
The Marvel.
Actually, they wouldn't call me. They're like, "Can we talk to Sarah? You know what's going
Why do you
on."
want to talk to me? I don't know as much as you do.
You figured out the TVA before.
Yeah, they can talk. They can talk to Flynn's.
There you go. Flynn's got all the answers.
Do you have any pets, Trip?
I have multiple pets. They're all assholes, and none of them are allowed in this room.